People have good questions. Okay, should I start? Here we go. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are back with questions and answers, questions that you all submitted on Instagram about the Cons Cup. So I just got back from the Cons Cup on, well, just a couple days ago, still kind of getting over the jet lag, but back to training, came straight from the pool, a cool 6,300 yards banked this morning, and I'm ready to chat with you all. So, well, before I get to the questions, I'll give a brief overview of my race. So, getting there was fine. My bike was a day late, but I kind of expected that my bike wouldn't make the connection from Paris to Vienna. So that added a little stress and excitement, but thanks to Christian Blumenfeld, my bike got there as quickly as possible. My bike came like 2 flights later. So I got in at like 11 and my bike got in at like 11 p.m. and Christian Blumenfeld was at the airport and saw my bike box and he's like, "Hey, is this yours?" And I said, "Yes, can you grab it?" So he and Gustav, I need to give Gustav Eden some credit here. They got my bike to the X-Bionic as quickly as possible. So shout out to the Norwegians. Not only are they incredible athletes, but they're really good dudes. So love those guys. Anyway, race week was good. I definitely fought jet lag pretty hard all week. It was a bit brutal, but that's part of the game. Did my best to get on the schedule and be ready for race day. And my race, it was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. I was excited about my match. Basically, I just wanted to be matched up against someone that I thought I would be able to swim with, like have a chance of swimming with. So there was some contact throughout the race. Last year I was matched with Ellie Salthouse and Holly Lawrence, and I was just off the back from the get-go, and it really wasn't fun. I was just kind of like in my own world the whole time. And I think it's more exciting for all of you as well if there's some contact and some back and forth and a fighting chance of, you know, passing or whatever. So got the swim going. I was on Kat's or Paula's feet. I think Kat and Paula were swimming next to each other for a long time. I don't know why Kat didn't just like slot in straight away, because I certainly planned to just slot in straight away. So I was holding feet for about 600 or 700 yards till the first turn buoy. And I guess just a technical error on my part, I lost their feet at that turn buoy, and I've thought about like how that happened so quickly, and I don't know if I just really screwed up the turn buoy. It was literally 180 degree turn, you know, like it wasn't an angle or anything, so you probably had to be really quick getting around that turn buoy and that sharp angle back. So I lost Kat's feet, lost Paula's feet too. I think we're all together at that point. And then I just swam hard the rest of the time, and I could see them right ahead of me, but just couldn't bridge the gap. And eventually I think Kat got dropped from Paula's feet as well. So we all kind of came out, spaced out 20 to 30 seconds, getting onto the bike. I right away could see Kat up ahead, so I was like, all right, let's catch her, and which is no easy feat. Kat is a great cyclist. It took me the entire first half of the bike, 40 kilometers, to catch her, and it was literally right at the turnaround that I caught up to her, and then I thought, all right, I'm going to sit here for a minute, because even at 20 meters, like you can pace off someone, and there's surely some benefit sitting behind someone at 20 meters. So I thought, I'll just sit here, see how it goes. You know, Kat must be pushing pretty hard because it did take me the entire 40 kilometers to gap like 25 seconds. So after a little bit, I was looking down at our speed, and we had turned into a headwind by this point. But I thought, you know, I don't know if Kat's actually riding that well. It seems like we could be going harder. And it's hard to judge when you're sitting behind someone because there's some draft benefit. And again, we just turned into a headwind, so it was hard to judge. It wasn't going to be the same speed that we were holding going out. But after a while of sitting there, I thought to myself, I think we should be going faster and harder, so I'm going to pass. So I made the pass, and Kat didn't stay with me, and I was able to open up a gap going into T2. And then got onto the run, and felt pretty good running, was holding a good pace, and we got out onto, you know, the path along the river, and for 6.5 kilometers straight or 6 kilometers straight, it was just like block headwind the whole way out to the first turnaround, which was so brutal. And I mean, we all had to deal with it. So, you know, everyone had the same or similar conditions, but that was definitely brutal. Getting to the turnaround was a huge relief. But yeah, Kat eventually caught me on the run. I don't know how far in. It was maybe 8 or 9 kilometers in, so about halfway. I don't remember exactly when, but it was definitely after we made the first turnaround. So yeah, kudos to her for coming back on the run. But yeah, that's how it played out. I gave my best on the day, and race day was a lot of fun. The crowds were fun. You know, they really put on a good show at the Collins Cup. If you can ever go watch it live, I would highly recommend it. When I finished my race, I just sat in the VIP area, ate some food, and watched the men's races unfold. So anyway, I think that's it. There's nothing like too exciting about my race. So let's get to the questions. I've got them all screenshotted from Instagram and made some notes. So first question, how is the water for the swim? So this year they had a swim in the canal, which is this way smaller body of water versus the, is it the Danube River, which is currents, wavier, dirtier. We were in this beautiful canal, clear water. I guess my only complaint with the water was that I could see a lot of vegetation and there was like a lot of stuff in the water getting on your face while you were swimming. Like the water was really nice, but I don't like seeing anything in the water, so I really had to block out like these big things, leafy things coming up at me while I'm swimming, especially especially once I was alone. But otherwise the water was great. Next question, is Phil Collins the founder? No. So let's do a quick Collins Cup. The Collins Cup was inspired by and named after Judy and John Collins, who 40 years ago were instrumental in establishing the sport of triathlon. So they kind of did the first long distance triathlon in Hawaii. So that is why it's called the Collins Cup. And you can read more on the PTO Collins Cup website if you're interested. How is the prize money distributed? Is it only for the winners? No. So again, this is on the Collins Cup website. The prize money, I don't know that we should call it prize money. It's more like appearance money. The athletes are paid based on their ranking going into the race. So the number 1 ranked athlete was paid $90,000, second $80,000, third $70,000, fourth $60,000, and then it just kind of goes down about $5,000, and then just slowly goes down. The 18th ranked or qualified athlete gets $20,000. So I think I was 6th ranked going into this, so I will receive $50,000 for going to the Collins Cup. Did the U.S. underperform, and if so, why? Well, definitely the U.S. underperformed because we lost. But why? I do think some of the athletes on our team who had potential to have like really great days and win their matches had particularly bad days for them. You know, like they didn't race to their potential, which is no like blame on them, that those things happen. But I do think, you know, like Jackie Herring was sick, I think like the full month leading into this, so she wasn't at 100% fitness. I think Rudy von Berg was also sick leading into it, so he maybe wasn't 100%, but we all came out and gave our best and did what we could. So there were other questions too of like, how can the U.S. step it up and be more competitive? And I guess part of that answer is, well, making sure everyone's totally healthy, which is hard to do with that many athletes leading into a race. You know, things happen, injuries happen, sickness happens. But I also just think there's phases, right? Like right now, Europe is dominating. And yes, Europe generally dominates triathlon, but I'm sure there will be a time where there are more really, really competitive Americans. You know, like if we see more of our short course women come up, like Katie Zafiris and obviously Taylor Knibb, who would have been there, but she didn't make it for whatever reason. you know, those women really have that short course potential and performance, not just potential. Like, they're incredible athletes, and I think they would step up and really keep making a mark on the 100K distance, which is what the Cons Cup is. So other than just all of us working and striving to be better, I think it'll just take some time for the talent and skill and all of that to kind of cycle through. And right now Europe just has it going on. So they're tough to beat, but we try our best, that's for sure. Was I nervous about my bike arriving on time, and what was my plan B? I wasn't too nervous because I got there on a Monday. The race was on a Saturday, so I knew there were several days for the airport to hopefully get my bike. But plan B was, my coach traveled with me to this race, and the plan B was for him to fly back to Paris and get my bike, and then like either fly direct back or drive back or something. That was kind of the plan B, but we really didn't formulate any certain plan B. I just knew there were options, and that I would somehow race on some bike, but most likely mine. Did the camera Moto come back to you during the race to film you, or did it stay with the front? I did see the camera Moto come back a couple times on the bike. I would look over and it wasn't a technical official because they had a camera, so there was a little bit of that, but I do think for the most part they were probably at the front, but I did see them a couple times. I don't think I saw them at all on the run though. That was probably all at the front, which is a bit of a shame because, you know, Kat passed me on the run. Maybe that would have been exciting action for the spectators to see. Okay, there's multiple questions about Sam Laidlow / Sam Long and all of that exciting drama. My thoughts on Sam Laidlow, my thoughts on whether it was a childish tantrum, and if these things affected me as an athlete or affected Team US, and
thing from the truth. I think
okay, skip this thing about St. George.
Yeah, I was hit by a car 9 days before.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, maybe you'll make fun of me for getting hit by a car too. That would be very much in your character. But
yeah, settle it on the race. We got some beef.
Settle it on the race.
We got beef up in here.
Yeah.
Woo! I'm scared of him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I'm generally pissed off, and I'm not normally pissed off in the sport.
I don't think it affected anyone else. I mean, probably the same for anyone from the outside looking in. I guess it was slightly entertaining, but I guess if anything, I don't know, like I'm Team Sam Long all day. I think Sam's awesome and I consider him a friend of mine. I didn't even know who Sam Laidlow was, I think, until St. George this year. And I don't know, I have a lot of respect for Sam Long, and honestly, I feel like it kind of got dramatized, even though it was all real. People have asked me, like, was that all set up? Was that fake? No, like, that was real. But the video was a bit dramatized with him, you know, opening the door. But I actually respect him for leaving. Like, if he was actually, you know, frustrated and fed up, leaving was the more mature thing to do rather than, like, freak out and start a fight or something like that. You know, like, he knew he was at a point where he just needed to get out of there. And then I actually thought Sam Long, just coming out at the press conference and clearing the air and, I don't know, setting things straight and how he felt was super respectable. So I have a lot of respect for Sam Long, and I think Sam Laidlow probably learned a few things, and I don't think he was being too disrespectful, but, you know, I don't think they actually knew each other at all, so it kind of, I don't know. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth or anything, but I think the race played out the way it needed to, the way it had to play out, and I'm sure Sam Laidlow will go back and make sure he's a little more competitive before he starts saying things like he did. So anyway, it didn't affect me though, but I'm glad Sam Long was able to perform because he's a great athlete and a good dude. So anything that I would change in the format of the race? I think the format's pretty good. From an athlete's perspective, there's not much I would change, but I know from a spectating and broadcast perspective, there's probably a lot that can be done to improve it for the entertainment value. My coach was there and he said the 10 minutes between the matches, like, felt like an eternity. So, even from that standpoint of, I don't know, closing the gap on the matches or even just having less matches, if that would be better. I think we're just still needing to figure out a way to make it more entertaining for the broadcast. And I don't know if like some more team racing could make it exciting versus 12 small matches. There were some other questions in here about like, hardly any of the matches were even close. It was really boring, like for me as a spectator. So I think we just need to figure out how to make it exciting instead of just having 12 matches going at the same time that get very minimal coverage. What was my favorite meal in Slovakia? Probably the burger I had at the VIP welcome dinner. That was my favorite meal. And then another question, what kind of food did they have for the pros? So I guess this will be a good opportunity. I know some people also asked like if the PTO pays for our travel and accommodation and all that. So how it's worked the last couple years with the Collins Cup, we pay for our flights or travel to get to the Collins Cup, but then the PTO has provided our accommodation and food. And I think the food is provided because we're staying at the X-Bionic Sphere, and everything's all inclusive. So like the pool's there, there's this cafeteria that we eat at, everything's there. Our accommodation is there. So the PTO does pay for that, and 3 meals a day, we're eating at the cafeteria, and they just have a variety of food. What I ate every day, pretty much I had like a croissant, a pastry, eggs, cottage cheese for breakfast. Lunch was always like some kind of rice and then some kind of protein, maybe some veggies, and then dinner was the same. And they also always had like some pizza, and I ate a lot of pizza because like pizza always tasted good. Way more pizza than I eat on a regular basis, but yeah, the food's decent there. It's nothing amazing. Like I'm always I'm definitely glad to be home to my food and eating habits here, but it's fine there and it's convenient, but home is good. Eating at home is very good. So do I enjoy wearing the mandatory team race suit versus my suit that I'm comfortable in? It's totally fine. Like a 100-kilometer race is pretty short, and so the chafe factor, Ironman, it's not an Ironman chafe factor. And I had no issues with the suit. No chafing, in fact. So it's totally fine, and I think it's cool that, we're all unified wearing the same colors and the same kit. So, yeah, I don't mind it. What was the best part and hardest part? And I don't know if that's about the race or the whole week as a whole, but I will say the best part of the week is getting to spend time with all the athletes. I mentioned how we all eat in this cafeteria, so like every single meal, you can basically sit down with your fellow pro athletes and socialize and just kind of build your relationship. And then the hardest part for me was probably, I don't know, the jet lag. Like, it's freaking torture those first few days where you just want to nap, and then when you do nap and you wake up and your head is just like throbbing and you just feel terrible, that was probably the hardest part for me. Why didn't I go to the after party? Well, I was planning to go, to be honest, but then it was like 7:30 p.m., I still was supposed to do an easy bike ride inside. I still needed to pack, and I needed to wake up at 2:30 a.m. because my shuttle was at 3 a.m. So I didn't make it to the after party, but I did hear the after party all night long, so I do kind of feel like I did actually go, whether I wanted to or not. And I guess to piggyback off that question, there were a few people asking if athletes hook up at these events where we all stay at the same hotel. And honestly, like, I'm not the person to ask. I'm a married woman, and like I'm not doing that, and I'm not really in, if anyone's talking about it, I'm not in that circle. But your guess is as good as mine. But I will say, I feel like a lot of the longer distance people were a little more, I don't know, I think a lot of people are married or in relationships and things like that. So I don't know how much of that's going on. I'm sure there's some of it, but not any that I know of and can confirm. Sorry, no juicy gossip for you here. How did the Collins Cup compare to last year? Not just the race, but the pre and post shenanigans. I would say it compared similarly. I think last year there was definitely a bit more excitement because it was so new, and there was a different mix of athletes. Like, I don't know, last year we had some real longtime legends in the sport, like Jan Frodeno was there, Sebastian Kienle was there, which kind of, I don't know, for me, maybe that changed the vibe a bit. They have such a big draw in the sport. But, this year we had Christian Blumenfeld. And anyway, it was, both years were great. But I would say last year maybe there was just a bit more novelty and a bit more unknown. But it was all fun. Like, once we get to that pre-race, the opening ceremony where they do the draft picks, that is like... that is where things really start to feel really fun and real. Like, once we know our matches, then you know what to be excited for, you know what to look forward to, and that's probably my favorite part, is finding out the matches. Are the pros trying to make it possible for them to represent their sponsors on the jerseys? So far, no. I think last year there was a little bit of drama with some pros saying like, hey, I need to wear my kit, my sponsor's kit, and all that, but it's actually in our contracts, our PTO membership contracts, that for this one race, we will all wear this, like PTO made jersey, because we're just there to represent our countries. And the reality is that if you have a brand for yourself and a name for yourself, then, people know who your sponsors are. So even though I wasn't able to wear my ASOS kit with all of my sponsors branded on it, just by being there and being part of it, hopefully I represent my sponsors well enough that if you see me, then like, oh, Sky, it wears ASOS, and Sky is sponsored by Super Sapiens and like Form Swim and, any other sponsor. Obviously on the bike, that's a little easier. Like, we ride our sponsor bikes, so my Trek bike and my SRAM and all of that is on display. But yeah, it's just part of it, is not wearing the kit that you would wear normally. Do you like the format of the extra points for winning by certain minutes? I think that's kind of fun, because then if you're not winning, so how it works is if you win, you get a certain number of points, and then if you beat second and third by 2 minutes, so like 2 minutes beating second and then another 2 minutes beating third, then you can get max points of 6 points for winning the match. And then as well, like, I finished third, but I finished within 2 minutes of second, so I prevented second place from earning an extra point or two, whatever it was. So I think that point system is kind of fun. It gives motivation for everyone to finish strong. Even third place can have an impact on the points by disallowing someone else to earn more points. So I think it's fun, as long as everyone understands it. I don't know how clear they made it on the broadcast, but considering someone asked the question, they must know. What was the hardest thing about my matchup? Hardest thing about my matchup. I mean, I guess hanging on in the swim proved to be the hardest part for me, which is really annoying, but that's what happened. So I will work on my 180-degree turn buoys. Do athletes who compete in the middle/long distance deserve Collins Cup spots more than the unprovens? Well, I know there's a lot of athletes upset by the wild card thing, so maybe that's kind of what we're talking about here. So how it works is the top 4 from each team are automatically qualified. So based on your ranking, if you are in the top 4 Americans or Europeans or internationals, you automatically go. And then there's 2 wild cards for female, 2 wild cards for male per team, and they're wild cards. They're truly just wild cards. So they get to choose whoever they want. And I think that's how it's based, and that's fair. I think some athletes get in their head that, oh, I'm the next ranked, so I should be the wild card. But unfortunately, that's just not how it is right now. And it's, oh, a wild card, and they get to pick whoever they want. So do the long course people deserve it? Yeah, maybe, because the PTO is technically for long course athletes, but that's not how it's set up right now. So it's not really about deserving it. It's just about who they want to be there for whatever reason. And now my camera guy is telling me to wrap it up. So let's do that. There's more questions, but I think I kind of got the gist of it. And some of these other questions have to do with what I'll talk about next. So yeah, I'm back from the Collins Cup. I'm back in Salt Lake City at home training. It's 5 weeks, almost exactly, until I leave for Kona. And I was planning to do PTO Dallas kind of all this year, but even before I left for the Collins Cup, I was just thinking, I don't think I should go do PTO Dallas because I want to be excellent at Kona, and I kind of feel like my race performances the last couple months have been good, not great, and I don't want to be good, I don't want to be great, I want to be excellent at Kona, and I feel like in order for me to be that, and just kind of where I'm at physically, mentally, all the above, I need to not go to PTO Dallas, and I just need to be home for the next 5 weeks and give Kona my full focus, and just be totally ready to go there and give my absolute best. This will be my first Kona appearance, but what I did learn racing my first Ironman World Championship in May in St. George is that the effort there is definitely unlike any other race. Everyone's in the best shape of their life, best shape as possible, and they're giving everything, taking risks, all the above to have the best possible outcome. So I want to make sure that I am ready mentally and physically to give just the very, very best on race day and just totally empty the tank. And I don't want to get there and not feel like I didn't do everything I could in the last 5 weeks to make sure that I was ready. So I will not be doing PTO Dallas. I will be doing Kona, and I leave for Kona on September 26th, I believe. So until then, I will just be here at home. I've got a great setup, great support, and I really enjoy it here. So that's what's up with me, and yeah, thank you for watching and following along. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.